We're on.
Hello, everyone. This is Love and Loot. I'm Love,
I'm Luke.
and we're actually going to be discussing some things or stories that we run into with different clients that we are involved with. Um, Today, we're going to be discussing the difference between loan modifications and debt reduction, what that actually is.
And what you should do. So here's the thing. Yesterday, I'm in court with a client, and she's in foreclosure court, about to lose her house. We all sitting there waiting for the judge to come on, and Ann walks this gigantic train. I promise you, 6'5", just a horrible mess of a person. So her lawyer comes up, and he's from Fannie Mae. So she's basically saying to the judge,
She.
I think that was ways. That'd be right. Yeah.
She.
So she goes up and she's trying to present her case to the judge. The judge is like, he don't know what to do. And she basically says how she's been trying to get this loan modification for the longest time, and the Fannie Mae's agreeing with her that she's been trying to get it, and this previous bank had, and so on and so forth. But judge says, well, I'm sorry, but I gotta sell a house anyway. And what he does is, instead of giving her 30 days to get out, he gives her 120 days and says, well, you can work with the bank in that time period and see if you all can work with some agreement. So, I'm sitting there next to another attorney, well, not another attorney, to an attorney, and I learned him, I'm like, so basically, the train's got 120 days to move. He's like, basically. So, I think people think that this modification thing is like a magic bullet.
Yeah.
And it's not.
It isn't. It's more like a small band-aid covering a gaping hole. The actual modification itself doesn't stop the foreclosure. It doesn't even slow it down. Once the procedure has begun, time starts ticking away, and the bank really does want to recover their property. Because honestly, it is their property. They own the mortgage on it, so they own the property. I had a client of mine that called me that was interested in doing the short sale, and he told me, well, I want to go ahead and do the modification first. And I can kind of understand that he wants to save his home, and I always recommend that. However, knowing that he was self-employed, he did not have enough income to prove that he could keep or afford the house, I already knew what the result was going to be. The bank was going to deny the modification. So why actually even go down that route? Why not do something else? I mean, there's so many other alternatives, like, cash for keys. You can do the deed in lieu of, the short sale option. And a lot of times what happens is the bank's actually willing to give you money to help you move out of the property.
Wait. So the bank is going to give me money to leave?
Yes. I have a great story. I had a client that had been living in his house for almost 3 years, making no payments. The bank sends him a letter telling him to actually go ahead and short sale his home. If not, they were going to foreclose on the house anyways. The benefit to him was that he actually was going to get $20,000 to do the short sale.
What? I would have been peace out immediately. Look, this is how this stuff works, okay? Love owes me $10,000. And she owes me 10 racks. Right? How many people can come to me and say, don't collect that $10,000, let her pay you less? Nobody can tell me to accept less money from her than she has. So when you walk into court or you send this paperwork off, you think all of a sudden that makes the bank have to do something. They don't have to do nothing but stay a bank and die. Right? Yeah. So, when people come to me all the time and they say, I want a modification, the first question is, what do you want to do with the house? What do you want to do with it? Because your payment is $1,500. You haven't been making that payment for 3 years. Now I drop it to $1,200. You've been spending up that $1,500. I know you got to escalate. I can see it. I can see it. Right? So what are you gonna do now that you have this big bill again? And I think that's where a lot of people think that this principal loan reduction comes in, where they think that they're gonna go in and they're gonna say, well, the house is not worth $200,000 anymore. It's only worth 80. So you need to do so and so. No, you agreed to pay me $200,000 for this stuff. I could give a rat's what it's worth now.
Exactly. And it happens all the time. People confuse the two. The actual short sale and the debt reduction, not the same thing. Um, the likelihood that they're going to give it to you is next to none. Just because, like what you said, you borrowed 200. I don't care if the stuff that you own is only worth 100. You still owe me the $200,000. So normally, what the bank will do when they're modifying the mortgage is they'll actually lengthen the time you have to pay them. So let's say instead of 30 years, they'll give you 40, 50. I've even seen it up to 60 years. Or what they'll do is they'll say, okay, well, for 5 years, pay us on the 100,000. At the end of 5 years, you're going to have to pay us back all the money you owe us.
Or your very last payment happens to be $100,000.
Exactly. So, before you go in and start signing documents you don't understand, reach out. If you're in our local area, give us a call. We'll help you any way we can, because one of the biggest reasons we're doing these is just to give back to the community, to educate.
I'm doing it for the money.
I'm doing it for education. Because, we run into it too many times, not just with people that we don't know, but with our own family members.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We joke about this, but it's really a serious thing. I mean, to the attorneys in there and everybody else, it's a joke. Yesterday in court, the attorney actually is talking about the lawyer she had working on her case before, and she kept saying TILA violations, TILA violations. Like, what the hell is a TILA violation? She meant truth in lending violations. And when the judge was like, oh, TILA, and she said the attorney, he was like, oh, and everybody in the court just started busting out laughing. I was like, what's so funny? Like, this is this person's life, right? But for them, it was Valentine's Day afternoon. They couldn't wait to get out of there to trade flowers for sex. That's what Valentine's Day is. Flowers for sex day. So, for many people that's going to be involved in your transaction, for them, it's just another day. For you, it's your life. It's the only house your children have known.
Yeah.
It's 5 years of saving up money. So, look, I want to make sure that whenever we do this, that we always talk about solutions too, not just the problem. So, as we move into talking about the solutions to the problem, first thing I'm going to say, seek professional advice. Look, you don't have to hire the attorney or the accountant or the realtor, for that matter, real estate agent, to provide you with. You don't have to pay them a lot of times to get advice. Right? Get the advice before you proceed down this road, because there could be something in your situation that's special, that's unique, something that just, when I first started my business with this, doing the loan modifications and the debt reduction and credit repair and all that good stuff, I told people I specialize in good night's sleeps, because after you talk to me the first time, you should get a good night's sleep that night, knowing that your problems are a little bit behind you.
Yeah. And like I said, sometimes the answers that you're looking for may not be the ones that you actually get. And don't feel like that person is actually lying to you, and that, someone that promises you everything is going to be able to deliver. I could tell you I could save your home. Does that mean I actually will? That's really what you're looking for, someone that's going to be really honest with you, look at your situation for what it is, and help guide you through the process. I've seen too many people that'll call or get called by a real estate attorney that does modifications or foreclosure prevention, whatever they call it, and charge $500 a month every single month, and that home still gets foreclosed on. Kind of like Greg said, ultimately it's a paycheck to them, but it's your life. So you have to decide who you want to work with and who can you trust. We've both been in the banking industry for a long time. I know what the underwriting guidelines are. I know what the bank looks at when they look at a mortgage and decide whether or not they want to accept that person to take the mortgage on. So when I'm looking at a client's paperwork, I'm looking at it just the way they would to see whether or not this is something that would be doable. And if it's not, you got to take that advice and decide what it is you want to do next.
Long story short, in my opinion, come to somebody that know what they do. You are a teacher for a living. You are a janitor for a living, a construction worker for a living. I don't come on your job and tell you how to janitor. Right? Don't come on my job and tell me how to do this stuff. Look, I joke, but it's real. This is what I deal with on a constant daily basis. Look, go somewhere, get professional advice at least. At least get professional advice. You'd be surprised how little professional services can cost. Relative. Look, if you're not making a mortgage payment no more, and I tell you it's going to cost me start to finish $2,000 to get your loan taken care of, pay the $2,000. You ain't paying a mortgage payment anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Make sure you vet the people. Make sure you know what they're talking about. The lawyer comes up yesterday. Goes and says, Judge, we've already worked this out on our side. Blah, blah, blah. The judge looks at the stuff and says, I don't see any reason to go with what you all said. They want to continue the case. Judge goes, I don't see any reason to continue it. I'm moving forward. The guy was like, what? Right? You need some professional advice. You need some help. If nothing else, it lets you sleep well at night.
Yeah. And a lot of times, sometimes getting that debt off your back can give you that peace. I personally had to get rid of 3 of my homes through the short sale process. I've been there. I know how hard it is. I know how stressful it can be. And so the information that I give is purely based on black and white. I'm sorry to say, but there's no emotion involved because you can't be emotional in that type of situation when your family, your finances, and everything you've ever worked for is at risk.
Yep. I agree with you. So, until next time, it's love. I'm Luke.